Hello, good morning everyone. So once again, I'm back. This is your teacher friend Liz, and today I have another exciting topic to discuss with you today, which is all about circles. So last time, we have discussed about applying the distance formula, midpoint formula, and as well as the coordinate proof, which is the greatest contribution of our father, Rene Descartes. So today, I will be discussing all about circles. I would like to introduce first a beautiful graphics composed of circles. But do you know where the word circle comes from? It was actually derived from the Greek word which means hoop or ring. But in geometry, circle is defined as a closed dimensional figure. By the way, it's not a polygon, okay, because it's composed of curves. Circle was actually studied by mathematicians. That was the reason why we have calculus, and it is now being used in astronomy as well. So circle, it is a set of all the points in a plane which are equidistant from a fixed point called the center. So please join me and let's dive into this exciting topic. Alright? So today I will be showing you some beautiful graphics I found online which would make you love this topic much better than the previous. And let's try to link the previous knowledge that we have learned in the past with our current topic for today, which is all about, do you have a guess? Our topic would be equation of a circle. Alright, so are you excited? But what is equation of a circle? We will be dealing with some formulas, but it's not intimidating as it looks. So don't you worry. I am here to guide you every step of the way. But let me show you first this beautiful graphics. It looks like a toy. Can you still remember a colorful toy that we used to bend? It's a spiral, but this one, it looks like it's actually the same. On first look, was actually composed of circles. Let me have another one here that we can actually see on the Ferris wheel. So this is how it looks like when you try to rotate figure composed of circles. It's a beautiful pattern. So are you now excited? What about this one? Another exciting and cool graphics for you. Here, it looks like another portal, or it looks like it brings us to another dimension. But don't you worry, it may not look cool for those who feel lazy. So let's skip that one and let's have another one. Try to look at this closely. This is what? Composed of a lot of colorful circles, brilliant and shining through our eyes, and it rotates perfectly in shape, right? It looks like a circle dots, but when you look closer, and then we have our colorful pattern here composed of circles. This is one of my favorite thing I have found online for the graphics about circles. So I just flashed it. It looks like a snail. It forms another figure. But as I take the circle out from the top and as it merges back to the screen, it forms a different pattern, right? But this is the beauty of circle, and it is found everywhere. But let me introduce to you our learning objectives. The learner will be able to illustrate the center radius form of the equation of a circle. And as well as the learner should be able to determine the center and the radius of a circle given its equation and vice versa. Now that we have defined what is a circle, again, a circle is a closed dimensional figure with two basic components. And what are those? Let's start from the fixed point. I have here a certain piece of paper. This will serve as my radius. So let's start from the fixed point. And if I swing this around the center, here, I would have a circle. Now, if I put one line segment here from the point going to the edge of the circle, I have a radius. Let's represent that with R. Now, if I know the length of one radius, that means I also know the length of the other radius. Why? Because all radii of a circle are equidistant from the fixed point here at the center. That's what we call center. So we have two essential components of a circle that we will be talking about today, which are the center and the radius. Now we will be looking at the circle plotted on the graph with the use of René Descartes' Cartesian plane. So you see, it is still connected with the Cartesian plane. So I'll take this circle off. Let's plug it up. We will be talking about the equation of a circle on a center radius form of the equation of a circle, which is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. Now, what are these hk variables? These hk variables represents the coordinates of our center. Let's say, for example, I have a certain given, which are, let's see, given center, which has the coordinates of 3, 4. Alright? So all you have to do is substitute this x coordinate here to your variable h. Are you following? And this number 4 here, your y coordinate to this k variable. So with this given center coordinates 3, 4, we will be applying this given to our formula. So you will have x minus your h is 3 squared plus y minus your k is 4 squared is equal to, let's say our radius is 5. So we have r squared, wherein our radius 5 will be substituted to r. So that will be 5 squared based on the given that is being asked. So you would have the equation, this 5 squared can still be simplified, right? So you know that already 5 times 5 will give you 25. So this will be 25. So what you will have, your final equation would be x minus 3 squared plus y minus 4 squared. Now, what if the coordinates of your center is at the origin? So when we say origin, if you are looking at the Cartesian plane, the center point, the origin lies at the center point of your Cartesian plane. You see that the Cartesian plane forms a cross, and the center, right at the center, is where our origin is. Wherein it has the coordinates of 0, 0. So if you have the coordinates for the center, which is at the origin, or 0, 0, you would have x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared is equal to, let's apply the same radius, which is 5 squared. What will happen is, it doesn't make sense if you subtract 0 from x, because x minus 0 will still give you a variable x, then we'll raise it to power of 2, and y minus 0 will still give us the variable y, so that will be y raised to the power of 2 equals to 5 squared. That can still be simplified into 25, and your equation will be x squared plus y squared, and this one is r squared. So with the given, we will have x squared plus y squared is equal to 25. So this one is based on the given. So all you have to remember is just that if you have the given wherein the coordinates of your center has a certain values, like this one on our example, 3 and 4, just replace h with your x coordinate, alright? And your k with your y coordinate. Because our formula for center radius form of the equation of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. So whatever the r, should be replaced with this variable r. Then you will have the equation. If you don't have the certain values for your center, like it lies at the origin exactly, so you would have 0, 0 for the coordinates of your center. So it will have the formula x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared. Then I will give you another example for that. So please watch the next 3 slide. Alright, now let's have another example here. I have here another example for circle S with a center at 4, 3. So if our coordinates is at 4, 3, we will be using the same formula, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. So I already got what I need, the center, which is at 4, 3. And if you are going to graph the circle onto the Cartesian plane, so it will look like this. And to find the radius, you only need to count from the fixed point here, going to the right, either to the left, upwards, or downwards, because we know the fact that all the radii of the circle are equidistant. So there are 3 spaces here from the fixed point going to the edge of the circle. So every radii of the circle will be 3. Alright, so the center for 3, we're going to be using that one because that will be our hk variable. We will be replacing the h with 4 and as well as the k with 3. And your r must be replaced with your radius 3. Alright, so you will have like this. 3 squared can still be simplified. That will be 3 times 3 will give you 9. So your equation will be x minus 4 squared plus y minus 3 squared is equal to 9. Another example. Write the standard form equation for circle C with the center at -4, -1. Using the same formula with the hk as the coordinates of our center. So I already have the center, which is given -4 and -1. It looks like this. -4, -1, radius 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my radius is 5. All we have to do the same thing. We're going to be replacing the hk with -4, -1. And your r would be with 5. So subtracting negative values will change the sign into positive. So that will be x plus 4 squared and y plus 1 squared. But if you will be looking for the center, just use the same -1 and -4. So your 5 squared can still be simplified. That will be 5 times 5 is equal to 25. So this would be now your final equation. X plus 4 squared plus y plus 1 squared is equal to 25. Another example. Write the standard form equation for circle J with the center at the origin at this time and a diameter of 18. So the radius was not given directly, but we can derive it from the diameter. So using the same formula, we need to fill in hk, which we know the fact that if our center is at the origin, that must be 0, 0. So here, let's start our fixed point here and count 18 going to the from 18 as a whole. Half of 18 would be your radius. That will be half of 18 is equal to 9. So substituting the values x minus h, which would be your 0, y minus k, which is 0, is equal to 9 squared. So it doesn't make sense if you subtract x minus 0 because what will be left is still your variable x. So that's why it became x squared. Same thing with y minus 0. Just try to observe. If our center or our coordinates are at 0, what will be left are just the variable x squared plus y squared. Alright, and 9 squared can still be simplified. We know that. So your final equation is x squared plus y squared is equal to 81. Now, let's do this. Just a second. Where did we go? just give me a second. Something wrong in my slide. We're gonna go back to that one because it wasn't finished yet. -4 and -1. We have that. We substituted the values for. Okay. Now let's have another activity. This time, this will be the application of what we have discussed a while ago. Activity number 1. On this first image, you are to find the center. Our x and y coordinates is a 0 or at the origin, so this must be 0, 0, radius is 2, basing on the given 1, 2. It's very easy. Now for the second, we have another second image here, wherein you can see here that the fixed point is at -3, -4. And your radius is, you only need to count the spaces from the fixed point going to the edge of the circle, so it doesn't matter whether you go left, up, or down, because all radii would have the same length. So we have 3. So center is -4, -3, -4, radius is 3. Another image here. It's very easy. I have here a circle graph. Your x coordinate is at +3. Your y is 0. Radius is, just count the spaces from the fixed point going to the edge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Radius is 5. So that will be 3 and 0. Radius is 5. Gets? Let's have this another one. We are to determine the equation of each circle given the center and the radius. And please write your answer in simplified form. For example, if the center is at 0, 0, that means it's at the origin, and your radius is equal to 2 units. So we already know the fact that if the center is at the origin, and since the coordinates of h and k variables are 0, 0, your formula would become simpler. X squared plus y squared is equal to r squared. Your r is 2. So that will be 2 times 2, or 2 squared, is equal to 4. Your final equation would be x squared plus y squared is equal to 4. Gets? Now let's have another one. What if our center is at 2, 3, and your radius is equal to 4 units? Applying the same formula for the center radius form of the equation of your circle, you now have the value for hk, which are the coordinates of our center. So we will be replacing your h with this one. Your x variable is 2, and your k would be your y variable. So that will be now x minus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared is equal to r squared, wherein your r is 4, so that will be 4 squared. 4 squared can still be simplified, right? 4 times 4 will give you 16. So your final equation, which uses the center radius form of the equation of the circle, would be x minus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared is equal to 16. Another example? What if the center back to the origin? 0, 0, and your radius is square root of 2 units, so you might be confused because you are seeing the radical symbol. But just take note, the radius is represented by r. All you have to do is replace those variables from the formula with this given. Alright, so that will be now, if your center is at the origin or at 0, 0, it will be x squared plus y squared, left, right, is equal to r squared. Your r must be replaced by square root of 2. So you have a square root of 2. Don't forget that the formula is r squared, so you still need to square this square root of 2. And reviewing your lessons about simplifying radical expressions during your Mathematics 9, you all know the fact that this square root symbol is also equal a value of the power of 2. So no matter if you get the square root of 2 and raise to the power of 2, you will still get 2. Alright, so cancel the radical symbol in the the power of 2. That will be x squared plus y squared is equal to 2. Yes? Now, let's try to answer the following activity. Activity number 2. One of my students is really enjoying the title. It was actually related to some love quotes. Gusto niya may namit nga title. But don't you worry, I acknowledge that. And thank you for appreciating my video lesson. So I will keep loading and I will put here Juro in the Wonderland. Joke. My center and my radius in the heart of your equation. What is it? We are to determine the center and the radius of each of the following circles. Then, write the center radius form of the equation of each circle. So let me flash here the image. I'll give you beautiful graphics to watch for. Alright, for the first image, you can see here the circle with the center at the origin. So basically, it's 0, 0. Your radius is you're gonna need to count the spaces from the fixed point. Let's start here. So let's go to the left this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Radius is 5 units. Radius again is always positive, okay? Because you are squaring it. Your equation, if your origin is at the center or if your coordinates or center is at 0, 0, obviously your equation will be x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared. Now, you already found out the r, which is 5 units. So, substituting the value for r, it will be 5 squared. I didn't put here the answer because supposedly I want you to answer it on your own at home, at your own convenience. But since we are dealing with video lessons, I would like you to practice solving while I have you on the line watching the video, if in case you're watching it. So that will be equation is x squared plus y squared is equal to 5 squared, wherein 5 squared can still be simplified into 5 times 5 will give you 25. So your final equation is x squared plus y squared is equal to 25. Second equation, second problem or second image, this must be number 2. Alright, for the second image, I have here our center is not at the origin, it's 3 spaces above the origin, which is positive 3 on the y-axis. So our center is, our x variable is 0, y is 3. So this must be 0, comma, 3. Your radius, you need to count the spaces from the fixed point going to the edge. That will be 1, 2, 3. Your radius is 3 units. Your equation, since you do have now the hk variable, so let's apply the center radius form of the equation of our circle, which is, again and again, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. So substitute the value, your h is 0, so you would have left x squared, plus your y minus k, your k is 3, so that would still be y minus k squared is equal to r squared. Your r is 3, so that will be 3 squared. Or simplifying it, that will be 3 times 3 will give you 9. So your final equation will be x squared plus y minus 3 squared is equal to 9. Are you following? Now, I do have here the next question. This is a little bit tricky, because it has a long process, so please bear with me and watch the slide carefully, okay? What if the equation of a circle is in general form? So you might be asking, what is the general form of the equation of the circle, ma'am? So it looks like this. ax squared plus by squared plus dx plus ey plus f is equal to 0. It's quite long, but we can solve it one at a time so you would know how to get the center and radius, because we can't see it directly. We have to complete. I'm supposed to ask that. Just fill in what's the next word. So, and also take note that A, B, D, E, and F should be all real numbers. Let's have an example so you can see how to get this done. Example. Our equation is x squared plus y squared minus 6x plus 4y plus 9 is equal to 0. And you are being asked to find the center and the radius of the circle of that equation. You can't see the center here. You can't see the radius because we need to do something first here. And we will be graphing the circle later on, so you would be able to
see and visualize how does it looks like with the given or with the center and radius once you already got it. So you have any idea how to get this solved? Any guess? This is actually just a sort of review or application of what you have learned during week one's module for the second quarter. And as well as for the second module, the second quarter, because they are of the same topic. That is completing the square. So we will be applying our previous knowledge about how to complete the square. So I'll give you an easier tips, just a shortcut. Maybe this will come out as easier for you than just the rules. Alright, so let's copy the equation. So you would have a reference. All we have to do first is to write the equation into this form. So as you can see, I put here question mark number 1 and question mark number 2. That means we need to fill in real numbers here, and that whatever those numbers would be, we also need to add it to the right hand side of our equal sign, just to balance the equation. We always do that, right? Whatever you add here on the left, you also need to add it on the right. But the very first question is, let's try to observe what we have done here so you would know what's going on here. Why did I group x squared minus 6x and the y squared together with 4y? So basically, to make it simpler, we have to group the x terms and the y terms together. So grouping the x terms, I got here from the equation, our x term was only x squared minus 6x. So we put it down here. And for the y terms, we have y squared plus 4y. Now, how to replace and how do we know what number to replace with these question marks? Okay, you will get that one by simply dividing this coefficient of our x, which is negative 6. Take note to get this sign negative because it has a symbol here minus. So we have to bring that along. Negative 6 divided by 2, always divided by 2. Whether you are on solving the x terms or the y terms, it will be the same. So negative 6, let's take it one at a time. Negative 6 divided by 2 will give you negative 3. Now you square it. So that will be 3 squared, which would be 3 times 3 will give you 9. So your question number 1 value here must be 9. And you also need to add it right here. Okay, and for the y values, let's go to the y terms, y squared plus 4y. Our coefficient of y is 4. Now divide positive 4 by 2. 4 divided by 2 will give you 2. Now square it. 2 squared will give you 4. So you now have 4 here. So let's flash it here. So that's what you will get. X squared minus 6x plus 9 plus y squared plus 4y plus 4 is equal to negative 9. So again, your question mark number 1 should be replaced by this number, which we actually substituted with the question mark number 1. So that will be 9. And your question mark number 2 will be 4. Alright, so looking at this equation, what you will have is x squared minus 6x plus 9 plus y squared plus 4y plus 4 will give you negative 9 plus 9 plus 4. So you can already solve it here. So whichever you will do first, you can solve this and simplify this one. Negative 9 plus 9 will give you 0. What will be left is 4. So that will be equal to 4 then. And what you are going to do here is same as what we did from the trinomial composite three terms. What we will be converting it into a square to binomial. So what will happen is we're going to need to get the square root of x squared will give you x, and the square root of 9, just copy the symbol here at the middle, which is negative, and the square root of 9 is 3. So you would have x minus 3 squared. For this one, get the square root of y squared will give you y, the square root of positive 4 will give you 2, copy the symbol at the middle, that will be y plus 2 squared is equal to 4. So you would have this. X minus 3 squared plus y plus 2 squared is equal to 4. Now, for this one, if you can remember that our formula has a minus sign, right? X minus h squared plus y minus k squared. We can't put here plus. So later on, as we will be finding or plotting the circle onto the graph, we need to have the exact values for the coordinates so we know the exact location of the center of our circle. So this one, we need to undo this one. So y plus 2 is also equals to y minus negative 2. So if you are subtracting the negative values or the negative numbers, you are changing its sign. And your minus sign will become plus sign, so that will be y plus 2. So we will undo that one, so we will be using this later on. Or you can easily just bear in mind, if you see here a negative sign, that means your coordinates for x is positive 3. If you get to see here positive, that means your y values is negative 2. It's like the inverse of its symbol. So the center, applying what we have learned and discussed, your h is equal to 3. As I mentioned, if you see here minus sign, that means this is positive 3. And if you see here plus sign, that means it's negative 2. And your radius is the square root of 4, since square root of 4 is equal to 2. So radius is 2. Are you following? So once more, what you will be doing first, group the x terms and the y terms. Put a space here because you will be adding a real value, a numerical value here, or a constant number that will be the coefficient of your x divided by 2. Make sure you follow this sign and square it. Same with the y, coefficient of your y divided by 2. Make sure you follow the sign, it will be positive. Then square your answer. And whatever you add here from the right, from the left for the question number 1, question number 2, you also need to add it on to the right side to balance your equation. After which you already have this one, all you have to do is transform this one into a square. How would you do that? Get the square root of x squared will give you x. Square root of 9 will give you 3. Copy the sign here at the middle. Same with here. Square root of y squared will give you y. Square root of 4 will give you 2. Copy the symbol here. The sign is which is positive. And you simplify this one. So once again, and once more, just remember, if you can see here a negative sign, that means your h variable is positive. You see the positive sign here or plus sign, that means your variable next here for the coordinates is negative. Alright, so are we good now? Let's try if you have learned something. But first, let me show you the graph that will be positive 3, negative 2. Now let's have another activity. Activity number 3, entitled Turn Me Back to Standard. Now let's see what you have learned, if you got what I have discussed a while ago. So it would be best that I will give you the steps for a certain problem that needs to be solved and then exercises, rather than to give you everything and give you the whole quiz, which would be the application of different processes that was discussed in one topic, which would actually confuse your mind. So magsalala mo na. That's why ginimo ko ni a specific example how to get the radius or how to turn the standard equation or illustrate the center radius form the equation of the circle with the given coordinates for center and the radius. After which I gave you activities to answer together with me, and then we have the general equation form, which is a lot bit trickier, but we are only using our previous knowledge of completing the square. So now you already know how to get this done. Now with the exercises, same as what we have did a while ago, we need to follow the same procedure. Now let's have this given. I want you to answer it on your own, but make sure that your answer would match this thing. So still the same thing, okay? Still the same process. Your given is, if I will be turning this general equation of the circle back to standard so I can identify the radius and the center, the given is x squared plus y squared plus 6x plus 8y plus 14 is equal to 0. The first step, group the x term. So you would have here x squared plus 6x plus the unknown value. Open and close parentheses, plus your y terms, y squared plus 8y plus the unknown value, is equal to, your 0 will be whatever your 0. So this constant will be transformed to the right hand side of your equal sign, which would actually, whenever you do that, you are changing the sign. Instead of positive 14, it will turn into negative 14. So if it's minus here and you transform it onto the right hand side of your equal symbol, it will turn into positive. So it will reverse the sign. Okay? So after you have grouped the terms there, if you are solving right now, then you will be able to add the missing term for, let's say, question number 1, question number 2, same as what we did with the previous discussion, previous slide, that you need to get the coefficient of your x, which is 6 divided by 2 will give you 6 divided by 2 will give you 3, and square it. 3 squared will give you 9. So your constant here is minus 14 minus 9, because it was positive 9. So transforming it to the right hand side will turn into negative 9. And then your same thing with your y coordinates. Y coefficient is 8 divided by 2 will give you 8 divided by 2 will give you 4, and the square of it is 4 times 2 will give you 16. So negative 14 minus 9, negative 14 minus 9, and then your y here is 8 divided by 2, 4, plus 16. Alright, now you should have this. By getting the square root of the numbers that you have put on there, square root of x squared will give you x, the square root of 9 will give you 3, and for the y squared, the square root of y squared is y, square root of 16 is 4, and your radius is 11. So you already have your standard equation form of your circle. So you can now see where are the center, where is it located. So if it's positive here, so obviously your x coordinate is negative 3. If it's positive 4 here, your y coordinate is negative 4. And your radius is always the square root of your r, which is the square root of 11. So you would have this. That's. Now, I have here the following question just for you, just as a guide. From the activity that we did on the previous slide, what are needed in finding the equation of a circle? So it sounds intimidating at first, but as we have finished discussing almost half of the topic, actually we have discussed everything. We're just giving you exercises and different examples in different form. So you would know how to solve it, transform it, whether you're given with equation or with the center and the radius, and you're asked to illustrate the equation, whether it's a standard form or center radius form, depending on the coordinates of your center. But you only need to remember, back to basic, you only need to remember the 2 basic components that I've discussed at the very beginning of my video lesson, which are the center and the radius. The second question, what is then the center radius form of the equation of the circle? The center radius form, the equation of the circle, in some books, it was x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared. And from there, we have derived our standard equation. So they are just putting their slash standard equation of the circle as the same, because if you have the origin as the center, you would automatically have x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared. But if The center is not at the origin, so basically you have a specific coordinates other than 0, 0, which are represented by hk. So you would have x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. Yes? And upon plotting the graph and solving and finding the center and the radius, and transforming the equation, what have you observed about the form of the equation of any circle whose center is at the point of origin, or 0, 0? So I guess I mentioned it already. So if your center is at the point of origin or located at 0, 0, then your equation of your circle looks simpler, which is x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared. The last guide question, what are the steps then in finding the equation of a circle given the center and the radius of the circle? So I have itemized it here so you will be able to follow because it actually depends on the given. So if the equation of a circle is already in a standard form, then you can now easily identify the center of the circle, which are hk, and your radius is r. And please take note that radius r is always positive. Why? Because of the formula r squared. So whether you have the radius of negative values because you counted from the left hand side of the Cartesian plane from the origin, and when you square the negative numbers, it will turn into positive. Alright? And the second one is if the equation is in the general form, which is the longer one, then we have to complete the square. Just remember how to complete the square, same stuff that we have done a while ago. And you need to bring the equation back to standard form because from the standard form, we will be able to identify the coordinates for our center and the radius correctly. Yes? And the general form of the equation of our circle that is written in the form ax squared plus by squared plus dx plus ey plus f is equal to 0, wherein a, b, d, e, and f are all real numbers, and a and b are always equal. Why? Because as you can see, we only have x squared plus y squared, so basically their coefficient is automatically 1. So we can't have 2x squared plus y squared. It will not be an equation of the circle. We will talk about that as we go along onto your next topic. So it's going to be complicated. Now, if I have your given equation and I would like you to find the center and the radius. So based on the given x squared plus y squared is equal to 144, obviously our center, the coordinates are 0, 0. And your r is always be the square root of your 144, the square root of r. This is the r squared already. So to undo the radical sign of the square root of 144, it's a perfect square. It will be 12. Why? If you are going to check, 12 times 12 will give you 144. What about this one? X squared plus y minus 7 squared is equal to 18. Why is it that our center is a 0, 7? Oh, I forgot to put here the radius. Alright, x squared is automatically, the center is 0 because there is no h variable. And your y minus 7 is as is. That means our k variable or y coordinates is positive 7. Your radius is a square root of 18. Now let's go back to this. This one. The square root of 18, all we have to do is to factor it out. So you must also know how to get the factor and number radical, and then you will be able to distribute the radical symbols properly onto each of the numbers so you can simplify it separately. So all you have to do is, this should be the square root of 18. Square root of 18. What happened? So that will be square root of 18. Keypad is not working. Oh my god. Just follow me. That will be square root of 18. Now, if you can see, the square root of 18 is not a perfect square, right? It is not a perfect square, but by factoring it out, what's happening? The only factor of 18, wherein one factor can give us a perfect square, are 9 and 2. 9 and 2. So you can just say the square root of 9 times 2. Or we can just distribute the radical symbol. That will be the square root of what? Again, I have mentioned that a while ago. It will be the square root of 9. It's difficult if your keyboard keeps hanging. So that will be square root of 9 times the square root of, that's the factor again, of 18. That's the square root of 9 and 2. Square root of 9 times the square root of 2. And since the square root of 2 cannot be simplified further, so we will leave it the way it is. But you can also simplify the square root of 9 since it's a perfect square. Alright, so square root of 9 is equal to 3. And your square root of 2 will remain as the square root of 2. Okay. Now my mouse is not working. Square root of 2. Okay. Now you do have now the radicals or the radius form. Let's go back to the slide so we can view it in a full screen. So again, your center is at 0, 7 and your radius is 3 to the square root of 2. Now, I want you to please answer the following activity just for you to gauge your knowledge of whatever you have learned today. If you have learned everything from the first slide up to the last one. So basically, I want you to be able to find the center or identify the center and the radius with the following given equation, whether I have here the 0 coordinates for the x, or whether I have one is a 0 and one has a certain value, or if both of them are at the origin, and you should be able to illustrate the center and the radius, or you can just draw the graph as well just to make sure you have um, answered it as you have understood it as a whole. Alright, because it's beautiful if you have the graphics. So I will be attaching the screenshot of this quiz so you can answer it and zoom it whenever you like. Alright, let's proceed to the next one. So this is what will happen. You are to find the center and the radius of each of the following circles by matching column A with column B. So you have to put here the initials of the name of the provinces that contains your answer for the following equation. So you have to write the letter of your answer on this circle here. For the column A, it represents the name of the festivals for every provinces. And each correct answer corresponds to the name of the provinces with its corresponding name of festivals. So it's a lot more fun. Supposedly, I would have quizzes, puzzles for this one, which has actually trivias of application for the circle, but we will have it later. And I find it and I will be attaching it here. So it's difficult to edit though. Now, let's see what we have learned. Just to summarize and for the closure of our lesson, a circle is the set of all the points in the plane at a given distance from a fixed point. So earlier, I have shown to you the beauty of circles. It's everywhere, it's magnificent, it's a perfectly round shape. And in geometry, this is the meaning of a circle. And once again, circle is being studied by mathematicians ever since it came out. up to today's date. That's why we already have now the subject calculus and astronomy. So it's very beautiful, and you can always observe that some of the structures outside the Philippines as the application of circles. All right, and the fixed point is what we call the center. And the segment that extends from the fixed point going to the edge of the circle around the center is what we call the radius. The second one, the standard radius form or standard form the equation of the circle is generally written in the form x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared, wherein the values of h and k are the coordinates hk of the center of the circle and r is the length of the radius. So if the center of a circle is at the origin, then it looks simpler because it will appear as x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared. Now, what have you learned from me? In our first activity, by simply giving you the center and the radius, you were able to illustrate the center radius form of the equation of the circle together with me based on the activities that we just followed on the slides. And on the previous slide, I have given you equations of a circle wherein I asked you to find the center and the radius of the circle, which I have given you a lot of examples, which make it easier for you to understand and follow every step of the way. Alright, so you were able to find the center and the radius of the circle with given equation and vice versa. So I hope that you have learned a lot from me from our topic equation of the circle. And now I am sure that you're thinking that equation of the circle is not a new topic, although it has some added concepts. But all that you have learned from the past, like your coordinate proof, because we are looking at the circle onto the Cartesian planes, it still has the application of Cartesian coordinate system. And you were able to see that x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared is similar to the Pythagorean theorem, wherein c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. It's just that different variables. But if you got to solve it, they look the same. It only differs the way it is being represented based on what is being asked for every lesson, and as well as application of your polynomial. So you were able to realize that you still need your knowledge about completing the square. Even for simplifying radical expressions would still be part of the topic. So just expect that your next topic for the third quarter would also have a lot of connections with our topic. So that's a good thing in maths. Mathematics subject is very beautiful because you don't need to memorize. You may be able to ask to memorize the formula, but once you already know it, learn it from the heart. So whatever questions that will be thrown to you, you will be able to get the answer because the concepts are already there, in your mind. So thank you and have a great day. So once again, if you do have a question, please feel free to message me anytime you like on whichever possible means that you can do. You can give me a text, you can leave me a comment, or you can send me a private message. Or you can come by and approach me in school during our schedule for releasing of our modules. So before I leave, I want to share these inspirational thoughts from my favorite person, Nelson Mandela, that says, "A winner is a dreamer who never gives up." So this is your teacher friend Liz or your teacher Melissa Santana signing off, wishing you have a great day. And please be good with your studies.